Hey friend, are you thinking about moving to the Twin Cities of Minnesota, but you are not quite sure where? May I suggest Bloomington, Minnesota? Keep watching and I'm gonna show you around. How's it going, y'all? My name is Jesse Lynch, and this YouTube channel is devoted to two things. The first of which is teaching people about buying, selling, and investing in real estate, and the second of which is showing off the amazing place that I live, the Twin Cities of Minnesota. So if either of those two things appeal to you at all, do us both a favor and subscribe to this channel. Click the little bell to get notified, say what's up in the comments, and give this video a thumbs up. I appreciate it. As you can see right now, I'm standing in front of the Mall of America, the biggest mall in the United States of America, sometimes called the Mega Mall. People don't call it that much anymore. I'm very excited to show y'all around Bloomington, Minnesota, and it really is a great place to live, which, by the way, if you're thinking about moving to the Twin Cities, I would absolutely love it if you would get a hold of me. I hear from people literally every single day, not just from around the country, but literally from around the world, and I find it truly, truly exciting. I want to give a special shout out to the Mo family. They just moved here from Washington. I helped them buy a house here. The absolute coolest, and they basically just moved in to a very cool house in a very good neighborhood. And I promise if you reach out to me, I will not let you down. My team and I will take the absolute best care of you, and my goal will be to make you feel as close to an expert as possible on the Twin Cities by the time you end up in your house. But all right, let's get into this virtual tour of Bloomington, Minnesota. And like I always say, there will not be a better source of information on this topic anywhere on the internet. All right, let's do it. So what is Bloomington, Minnesota all about? Well, geographically, Bloomington really has three defining boundaries. To the north is 494, to the west is 169, and to the south and the east is the Minnesota River. Bloomington, Minnesota is very much a tale of two cities. It is divided by 35W into east and west. There are two high schools, Jefferson and Kennedy. The wealthiest high-end homes are to the west and primarily around the Bush Lake area, and the more middle-class homes are in the central and eastern part of the city. Bloomington is home to the Mall of America, IKEA, Normandale Community College, the Highlands ski area, and it is contiguous to the MSP Minneapolis-St. Paul Airport. I really do think that Bloomington has one of the most beautiful landscapes of any suburb in the Twin Cities. So let's go for a ride, shall we? Okay, so what are the pros and cons living in Bloomington, Minnesota? I'm gonna say the first pro of Bloomington is the outdoor space. There's 1,000 square feet of park and recreational area per capita in Bloomington, and 1/3 of the entirety of Bloomington is permanently reserved for recreational purposes. Right now I'm at Bush Lake Park. It's a beautiful park, and also the River Valley is a really, really beautiful part of Minnesota. Number 2 is the jobs. Bloomington is home to more jobs per capita than either Minneapolis or St. Paul, which is kind of crazy when you take into account all of the Fortune 500 companies that are literally headquartered in Minneapolis and St. Paul. But don't forget, Bloomington has the Mall of America, which that alone is home to tons of jobs, but it's also home to several headquarters and major branches of a bunch of different companies. Health Partners, Toro, Wells Fargo, Pearson, and Seagate, among others. Number 3 is that Bloomington is a super, super convenient place to live. Like I said, it is right by the airport. It's also only like 10 minutes to either downtown, Minneapolis and St. Paul. And lastly, the pro I want to say is school. Now again, this is where that tale of two cities thing really kind of rears its head. If you look at the map of schools on niche.com, you will see that in the West, the schools are A-rated, and as they get further and further east, they tend to drop in rating, as low as like C's. So for one, part of western, probably northwestern Bloomington is served by Edina schools, which if you watch my Edina video, you know that Edina has some of the best schools in the entire state. And so if you just look at Bloomington Public School District, it only gets a B on niche.com. But in the Tale of Two Cities things, there's a Western high school and an Eastern high school. Jefferson High School is on the west, and that is rated an A, and Kennedy High School is on the east, and that only gets a B-. And so this video, like a lot of my other videos, the thing I struggle with the most is finding the con, but it is important to me to tell you any of the cons that I can think of. The first con, which I think is probably for sure maybe the biggest turnoff for most people, is that it's a really busy suburb. It's without a doubt the busiest suburb in the Twin Cities. Again, it's home to the Mall of America and IKEA, and then basically all along that 494 corridor is a ton of commercial spaces. Which brings me to my second con, which is that specifically 494 sucks. Probably my least favorite highway in the whole metro. And because I would say it is very heavily used, the rush hour can be very intense, to the point that even some of the frontage roads and other roads get busy because 494 is so crazy. I don't know if you can hear this or see that, but another con is the airplane noise, because again, Bloomington is directly next to the airport. And lastly, through quite a few parts of Bloomington, there's a train that runs through it, and so if you end up living close to that, that could be a deal breaker. Okay, the building behind me is shared by two different things. It's basically the city hall, and then also there's like a theater in there as well. It was originally copper, and now it's all like patina green, which is pretty cool. And one thing that I really do find interesting about Bloomington is that tale of two cities idea, right? The western half is gonna be, more elaborate homes with beautiful, huge yards, and probably a much higher like mixture of newer homes or even potentially like brand new homes, with like a ½ acre or more of a yard. And it's real heavily wooded and very hilly. And like I said, 1/3 of Bloomington has been reserved permanently for park spaces, and I'm pretty sure a large portion of that is on that western edge. But then on the central and eastern side of things, it's going to be more just straight up classic old school neighborhood from the 40s and 50s. Think Edward Scissorhands or that Little Boxes song, right? If that's what it's called, Tiny Boxes, something like that. But all in all, either side is a potentially really great suburb to live in if maybe you want to be close to the cities because you work there, but you don't want to have to venture there to do things. Bloomington definitely has everything you would ever need. And now if you've watched my stuff, you might know what I'm about to say, which is that if you are considering a move here, if you like Bloomington, if you like any of these other videos that I've done, that I implore you to reach out to me any way you can. Call, text, email, leave me a message on my website, DM me on Instagram, DM me on Facebook, write me a postcard, whatever you gotta do. I hope you enjoyed this video, and while you're at it, while you're here, while you're still watching, do me a favor, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, leave me a comment, say what's up. I look forward to talking to you. I look forward to hearing from you. I look forward to showing you around the Twin Cities. And if none of that, I will see you in the next video. All right, love you. Bye-bye.